is February 11th. This is the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Can I ask the clerk to perform a roll call, please?
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Bateman. Councillor Campion. Councillor Foster.
Present.
Chair Gale.
I'm here.
Councillor Greenwood.
Present.
Councillor Jordan. Councillor Junkin.
Here.
Councillor Kaiser.
Present.
Councillor Morocco. Councillor Olson. I see him online. Councillor Redicott.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Rigby.
Present.
Councillor Cisco.
Present.
Councillor Steele. Councillor Ugolini. And we have regrets today from Councillors Badaway, Ghanaian, and Woodveen, Chair.
Thank you. Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawanduruk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The regional municipality of Niagara stands with all Indigenous peoples, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live. I'll ask now if there's any disclosures of pecuniary interest for any of the items today. Seeing none, there are no items for consideration. We do have some presentations, however. I'd like to call on Katie Wines, Manager, Strategic Marketing, for their presentation respecting the strategic marketing update. Katie?
Thank you, Chair. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to provide an update on our strategic marketing initiatives. Just as a reminder, this presentation was written at the end of 2025, so it is a bit of a synopsis of what we did in Q2 and Q3 of last year. So as an overview, we undertook a lot of activities during Q2 and Q3. Quite a few of them had to do with in-person events, and I finished the presentation with a bit of a look into what we have started as of this year. So I wanted to start with the Tariff Relief Business Support Program. We were approached by Minister Fideli's team to conduct a tariff relief program, kind of an announcement for Niagara businesses. This was a great opportunity to invite all of Niagara's businesses to a roundtable with the minister himself. His Tariff Relief Impact Program actually ended up granting $40 million to businesses, and so economic development could ensure that regional businesses were at the forefront. We were able to invite them to the roundtable to ask questions about the application process before, I think it had just opened when we had this. It went extremely well. We had participation from over 40 different participants that came. Another activity that we undertook during Q3 was the Niagara Economic Summit. I'm sure a few of you have attended this. This was in collaboration with the GNCC. A lot of this was providing data to local businesses who come together to understand Niagara's economic climate, how to best move forward in 2026 with their initiatives. Another event that we facilitated and supported was the Niagara Week, the MPP reception at Queen's Park. This was a great opportunity for Niagara to be showcased. We also had a little bit of an action table this year where we had participants from Brock and Niagara College. Both centers have different kind of innovation centers that we wanted to create a little bit of piece of Niagara at Queen's Park. So Niagara College brought their WAMIC Center This WAMIC Center is pretty integral for the Niagara region. There's a lot of businesses that have older technology and they need some modern solutions that they can't find. They're not readily available. So the WAMIC Center has been able to challenge their students to create 3D printings of different mechanical parts that aren't available and find solutions for these companies. Kind of subsequently, we also invited Brock, so because they had their validation prototype manufacturing research institute. This is a really valuable institute for businesses who need prototype validation. In agriculture, they could look at something like leaf curl. They have $1 million equipment that Niagara businesses have access to. So showcasing the assets of Niagara at this reception was a bit of a new highlight for us. We thought went very well. The last event that I wanted to highlight was the Toronto Global Forum. This is in line with our objective to feature Niagara on a global scale. This featured hundreds of companies internationally. The key sponsor this year was South Africa. We engaged in a lot of great dialogue with companies as well, international companies looking to relocate to the area, as well as we were afforded a presentation so we could speak to the benefits of Niagara. Overall, very strong event. This was our third year doing this event with them. Moving into activities for 2026, we have a really great project that we're undergoing with Humber College. It is actually with their capstone program, so their fourth year marketing and communications students. The main objective of this campaign is to look at how we attract residents in the past. Part of our portfolio is to attract specific workforce to Niagara. As we had a housing crisis in COVID, this work wasn't kind of top of mind. There was other needs, but now moving into 2026, it's quite important. So what Niagara Region Economic Development is doing is we are conducting a survey with all local area municipalities, their economic development offices, and their largest employers, and seeing what their employers' needs are for the next 5 years. Where are the gaps in our workforce and how do we fill them? This is a problem that I have posed to the students at Humber College, and we've been working with them from the beginning of this year, and they will be presenting us their solutions early April. So looking forward to working with Humber to move that work forward. Another initiative in 2026 will be our new magazine. I'm sure some of you know, but just as a synopsis, we had a lot of marketing materials across many sectors, and what we found is it's better to have one piece that is updated and very strong than, say, 20 pieces. So what we did last year was create a Discover Niagara magazine. It has a feature for every single municipality that we worked with the economic development officers on. We do an article. We had 3 articles in the last one. This one will have 2. We get an independent journalist to write those. The journalist is from the Globe and Mail. We feature different key sectors and emerging sectors, and it's really our leave behind piece when we're international. This magazine has also been translated. Last year, we translated it to Japanese, and it has been featured in the Canadian Embassy in Japan for the entire year. We will be doing this year's edition. It's looking to be put in embassies in Japan, Korea, and China, as well in Ottawa. So I hope to get the copy. It went to print yesterday, so I will be putting a copy in all of your mailboxes so you can look through it. And please provide your feedback as you read through. The next I wanted to highlight was just a campaign performance outcome. We have 3 main campaigns digitally that we run throughout the year. I just thought it was appropriate to bring that forward. Programmatic displays are displays on different websites like the Globe and Mail, the New York Times, where we can put our ads strategically to those who are looking at agriculture or aerospace. Paid search is a similar campaign that we do, whereas if someone's looking to relocate their business in aerospace, our ads will pop up on the sites that they're visiting. LinkedIn advertising is a lot easier because we have the names of companies, their positions, and really an advantage there. And the last is retargeting. This is a really strong one for us with almost 9,000 impressions. Anyone who has shown an interest in relocating to Niagara or visited our website, I retarget to them for the next 30 days so that we can stay top of mind. But very strong numbers for our digital campaigns, I thought to feature in my report. And just lastly, I wanted to showcase for this committee the areas of interest in case you were also curious. It helps drive some of our marketing initiatives. So we remain the most visited country that comes to our site is still the United States. Actually, more than ever, we are getting interest from companies in the States as well as doctors from the States. So that remains our number one. Number two is the United Kingdom. Three, subsequently, Ireland. Four is Japan, and we have a very strong working relationship with both the government and a few different companies there. So this just kind of gives an overview of how our marketing is laid out internationally and where we're seeing success in what countries. And this does coincide with the investment attraction that our investment attraction officer is seeing. So we like to work in tandem. And that was it for me. I welcome questions.
Thank you, Katie. Have we got questions for our presenter today? Chair Gale?
Thank you, and thanks for that presentation. Like I said to you yesterday, I'm going to ask you if you can explain to councillors about Humber College, why they were selected, and what the cost was, in case we have any pushback from area universities and that on it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gale, and through the chair. If I can elaborate on that Humber College program just a little bit more. We were approached by Humber. They wanted to switch their program. They were initially going to go to New York this year and focus on a few business cases in New York. Because of the climate between Canada and the US, they chose to remain national, and they chose Niagara. They are doing the project split between two. Half the students are doing tourism attraction, and the other half will be doing resident attraction. The reason why we selected Humber for this is the campaign is very unique in the sense of we are looking to attract workforce outside of Niagara. So we are looking to attract new graduates from universities and post-secondaries like Humber. So getting the students to do a project where they would assess why they would come to a community, what they would be looking for, what communication would make them want to move to Niagara was really a strong kind of suit and really an opportunity. We also worked with Niagara College the last 2 years doing their capstone project. And we don't like to monopolize their capstone students because they're not working with me, they work with businesses. So this particular project didn't make sense for that. And just lastly, to your comment, it's a completely free program. All students are doing all of this work for us as part of their workload. So it's just a benefit to Niagara to get the students to put their perspective on where workforce might want to be.
And free works in our budget, doesn't it, Tim?
Free works.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rigby?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just, I went through the reports all morning today. So I found them really intriguing and very interesting. And the one thing that I get involved in some organizations that do Henley regattas, and they do that type of thing. And most of the people that are trying to develop those types of things in Niagara seem to have the same problem, is that we can't seem to get anyone to pay any attention outside of Niagara. And the Globe doesn't even know we live, and that's the problem. And so I see there's opportunities here. It's a matter of reaching out to some of those as well. I live very close to the St. Catharines Golf Club, and I don't golf, but this summer I drove down and I drove by the club, and there's all these signs, and it's incredible. And I find out the World young women's golf tournament, Canadian, was being held in that on that golf course for a week. I knew nothing about it at all. And I talked to some of the people. They said they try to reach out, but we can't. We do not have a television company that's beaming out from here. Niagara doesn't have that, and we have some other issues such as that. So how do we have them be able to merge into what we're doing here? Because I think it's great what you're doing, and be able to get that out, helping to get out to the other areas, because otherwise, anything that we're doing that are very good, people just don't know what's happening. Do you see any opportunities to be helping to get that kind of thing happening?
Through the chair, that's a great point, Councillor. I've been in marketing for over 20 years, and it's the loudest it's ever been. It's the most expensive it's ever been, and we've lost a lot of media. We've had to get really extremely creative with our marketing tactics. As you can see, we got a little bit more personal. We try more narrow channels. I would say to your question that if there's any organizations or like regattas or large events that are happening, our department is extremely connected, and we pride ourselves on being connectors. And usually there is some component where it might come into play. Maybe it's a featured article in our magazine, maybe it's something we could do online. But I would say if we want to connect with our department, I feel like there is opportunities once we know who is there and what they need, and it typically comes out naturally with the materials we're creating, if that answers.
There are, okay, so as part of that, are we doing more sort of internal letting people know within the municipalities what you are potentially could do, and you're having a sowing oats competition in any of the region, and how do we help to get that out?
Yeah, through the chair, and I'll let Associate Director Marino answer as well. Our objective in economic development is international attraction. So my website and what I facilitate is meant for actually external to residents. It is only external. It's international. The internal corporate communications is our main channel for communicating with residents. And I think that might be an opportunity for them to see what's going on and promote better. But we do have separate functions. And I think the internal corporate communications is our pulse with the residents better than what I do. Yeah. And
Just-
sorry.
If I can just, Madam Chair, just the people that you are working with here are incredible. They really are, and they get out and get the work done. They're established to do, and then therefore, I guess I'm saying, help us and
best we
help
can.
them, because I got to retire. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Olson, you're next, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. My first question is about the prototyping that you referred to, and I was wondering what the nature of that is. Is it tool and die making, or is it like die models or production models? What is that type of that work? Is it hard prototypes, or is it just on computer driven?
Yes, through the chair. I am a marketing person, so I don't want to get too technical, but the WAMIC Center does do hard tooling, I believe it's called. They create, so they not only find the solutions and evaluate what the need is, but then they do create the pieces for them. They have advanced 3D printers and a lot of other materials, similar to how the Brock Validation Center has the tools of research and kind of that scientific lens. The Niagara Colleges has the ability to not only create the solution, but physically create those pieces. I know they created a piece, I believe it for, was it General Mills? They had one of their machines, it would be down, but they created a whole dial that they couldn't get anywhere else. So they're really helping Niagara businesses who are long established continue to use what they have. But if it helps the counselor, they actually are a feature in our 2026 magazine. So one of the articles is fully on the WAMIC Center. I thought it would be not only great for international businesses to see we have it, but also feature something great for our companies within Niagara. So I hope to put that in your mailbox in a week or two, and it has much more information than I'm able to probably communicate right now.
Okay, is there a charge for the prototyping service? And
Through the chair, I believe there is not. I think that the only charge would be if there is material cost to the production. Sorry, Associate Director Marino, do you?
Through the chair, and thank you, Katie, for your response. But just to further complement Councillor Olson's question in and around the WAMIC, so the Walker Advanced Manufacturing and Innovation Center at Niagara College, having sat actually as the vice chair at one point of the board on that center, there's actually a number of different prototyping as well as thermal drone imaging and other types of offerings that they do have. And yes, there is associated costs for businesses. Ultimately, it would be for depending on how many runs of 3D printing that they may have to do, the resin that's required for that. Some of the staff time is obviously technical in nature as well, so there are some costs there too. But ultimately, they're working with a larger network called the Tsunami Network, so the Southern Ontario Manufacturing and Innovation Alliance. That's a number of different colleges in and around Ontario that have expertise in a number of different technical capabilities. And essentially what they can do is that they can provide those offerings from those other schools to help get from a prototyping stage to a commercialization stage, so they can do small runs, and then eventually once they need to do large runs of component parts, then they would go commercial to an industrial solution within Niagara or within Ontario based on the connectivity that we have and those relationships with those community organizations. And we would help to make those connections.
and my next question, thank you for that. I was looking for something more applicable to the automotive industry and auto parts sector, which would be die models and in harder prototype parts than that. Is looking at the companies that are available, or the countries we're focusing on. I didn't see Korea on your list.
Yes, through the chair. The list was a list of the countries who most visited our website, but we are focusing on Korea, though they were not in the top 10 last year for visitations to our website. I would say visitations to our website doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have interest. We have had interest from a number of countries that don't appear on the top 10, heavy interest, but that is just who most visits our website. For clarity.
Okay, thank you. I was mistaken thinking that was the area of focus. And my thinking on that was there's room for one more assembly plant in the automotive sector in Canada, most likely going to be a Korean company, and the Seoul 2, as they're known as, they should be definitely in there, and their supply chain should be on there as well, because they'll bring them with them. The other thing that I was looking for on the list of things that we would be able to do is precision medical devices. And I guess your list, I didn't see that on there, because that's a highly technical thing that kind of brings other industries along with it, like the automotive industry basically bought the airline manufacturers into the digital and into the area where production came under numeric control. So I'm just wondering why that's not on there, and they move around a fair amount.
Through the chair, these weren't kind of identified emerging sectors. These were just kind of areas of interest that we're seeing on our site, more of a
Okay.
general overview of what people are looking for and from which countries. Though I do believe medical and life sciences is a top priority for our department, primarily
Okay.
life sciences. We have featured
Okay.
some local
Okay.
businesses in order to get more, but this was a bit of an overview of popularity on our site, if you will.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions to our presenter? Thank you then, Katie. Can I get a mover and seconder for item 5.1, ED 1-2026? Moved by Chair Gale, seconded by Councillor Greenwood. All in favor? Can I get you to vote electronically then? Thank you. Forgot that part. We're carried. Okay. Policy planner, strategic initiatives, and Blake Landry, manager, economic research and analysis, for their presentation respecting the 2025 Niagara Region Employment Inventory results, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Planning and Economic Development Committee. My name is Cynthia Tia. I am the project manager for the Niagara Employment Inventory Project, and I'm joined by Blake Landry, manager of economic research and analysis, to deliver the presentation. Like several municipalities across Ontario, Niagara Region conducts an annual direct data collection exercise for the employment inventory. A team of post-secondary students visits all signed, publicly accessible businesses, conducting door-to-door surveys with businesses across the region. The Niagara Employment Inventory is voluntary, and in 2025, our team inventoried approximately 13,700 businesses, capturing several data points using mapping technology. Next, Blake will go over how the data is used.
Thank you. So this data is really critical, especially in regards to economic development. So I'm presenting on this because I'm probably the biggest user of the data. So it's used from everything from like economic development marketing to responding to supplier inquiries. So when we're dealing with investors, they want to know whether or not they can source supplies locally. We use it for that. We use it to identify trade and other supplier opportunities. We use it for local municipal initiatives. So although the region collects this data, it's shared with all 12 municipalities. So they benefit from it also. And this way we have one survey that then gets shared among everyone. So we don't have multiple municipalities surveying the same businesses. It's used for marketing and information assets. So one critical piece of marketing that we use it for is our business directory. So the business directory is on our website. It is also the most used page on our website. So businesses can use that to identify each other. Consumers can use it to identify businesses. So it's really critical information to have from a marketing perspective. economic information gaps. So I often use Statistics Canada and those types of sources for macroeconomic analysis. But the Niagara Employment Inventory allows us to drill down to the business level where we wouldn't otherwise be able to get that type of information or insight. So this is really critical when we're doing research on the economy in the region, especially into things like industries, foreign ownership of companies, those characteristics that we wouldn't otherwise have the data on in order to do it. It's also used for employment area planning. So the data actually maps out businesses by employment size across the region. So it's been used from everything from public transit planning to site planning for development projects, calculating employment densities for development projects. So those are just some examples, but it is widely used across the region as a corporation, as well as across 12 local municipalities. One really recent initiative that we use it for is the Support Local campaign. So this is essentially about increasing awareness of the tariff situation and the importance of supporting local businesses through actions such as word-of-mouth promotion, social media engagement, community solidarity, as well as developing resources to target businesses that were impacted by the tariffs. So in the Niagara Employment Inventory, we actually know who's exporting to the United States, who imports from the United States, among other international geographies. But we were very quickly able to identify our level of exposure to the tariffs and very quickly get out there and advocate for resources and programming to support those businesses. And we were able to do it much quicker than any other municipality since we had these informational resources. So this work is still ongoing. For instance, yesterday we hosted a CUSMA compliance workshop with the Toronto Region Board of Trade here in Niagara. We were able to identify and engage about 40 companies to participate in that. And we wouldn't be able to have done that without the data that we collect in the Niagara Employment Inventory. So it's been really critical as a resource to help deal with this whole trade and tariff situation. And that said, it also, as mentioned, populates our Niagara Canada Business Directory, which again is the most widely used page on our website and a critical piece of information that we use in economic development.
Thank you, Blake. The Niagara Employment Inventory is a collective effort. Working with Niagara's Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development, and the Communications team helps spread awareness of the project and increase business participation. Since 2022, we have consistently increased the participation rate by at least 4%. Additionally, the rate of partially completed records has decreased significantly since 2022. In 2025, 13,728 businesses were identified. This is an increase of 393 businesses that have been added to the database since last year. The number of businesses identified in the region has steadily increased yearly during the 10-year period we have collected data. The closed business count is fluctuating from year to year. However, in 2025, 661 businesses were identified as being closed compared to a count of 810 businesses last year. In 2025, we focused our efforts on collecting data pertaining to the import and export activities of Niagara region. This slide highlights the top 5 sectors importing goods and services from the U.S. The sectors with the highest percentage are retail trade at 40%, manufacturing at 25%, and healthcare and social assistance, as well as other services, both at 12%. Next, we look at the top 6 sectors selling goods or services into the U.S. The manufacturing sector has the highest percentage at 44%, followed by retail trade at 25% and wholesale trade at 12%. Moving away from the U.S., we also collected data on import activity from outside of Canada. Similar to importing goods from the U.S., the sector with the highest percentage is retail trade at 42%, followed by manufacturing at 24%, and other services and healthcare and social assistance are both at 12%. This slide highlights the countries that have been identified as being the country of origin of a business reporting foreign or international business ownership. In total, only 110 businesses out of the 13,728 businesses reported having international ownership, with most ownership falling in the US, followed by France and China. Collectively, 14 businesses have reported European ownership as the country of origin. Moving on from import and export activity, we will now focus on tourism, agriculture, and nonprofit. Given the concerns related to tariffs when the survey was developed in 2025, a decision was made to exclude agricultural and tourism business questions to ensure we are able to ask about the import and export activities across the region. For the nonprofit sector, the region was seeing a steady decrease since 2022. However, there was a spike in 2025, seeing an increase of 162 businesses that are reporting as being nonprofit. We are currently in the process of developing the questions for the 2026 survey. The tourism and agricultural questions will be included in this year's survey given the importance of these sectors to Niagara Region's economy. Next, we'll look at the NAICS by sector. We classify businesses and jobs using the North American Industry Classification System, which is a standardized way to classify businesses based on their economic activity. Retail trade, accommodation, food services, and other services have remained the top 3 business sectors for the 4th consecutive year. On the other hand, the top 5 NAICS for jobs has the same 5 top sectors, however, the rankings change from year to year. In 2025, retail trade is still ranking highest, followed by educational services and accommodation food services. The employment inventory provides a key opportunity for the region to personally connect with local businesses. The final question we ask is there anything Niagara Region can do to support your business? In 2025, we received close to 2,000 responses. The responses are then reviewed and matched to one of the themes shown on this slide. The largest proportion of comments includes business exposure, taxes and utilities, and infrastructure, traffic issues, or construction. The identified issues are then shared with departments at the region. It also helps to provide assistance to business owners by directing them to the appropriate web resource or regional staff. When urgent issues are identified, the student team will connect with either myself or the employment inventory coordinator to ensure the issue is addressed in a timely manner. The following points are some key highlights from the 2025 NEI data collection. So the participation rate has increased by 5% from last year. There was 132 businesses that were identified in 2025. Retail trade, accommodation, and other services are the top business sector for the 4th year in a row. And the top 3 themes for what can Niagara do, business exposure remaining the number 1 theme, taxes and utilities, and then followed by infrastructure, traffic issues, and construction. For next steps, we are preparing to send out the data to our local municipal partners, as well as publishing a subset of the data to Niagara Region Open Data. Planning for the 2026 Niagara Employment Inventory is underway, and that concludes the presentation. We're happy to take any any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the presenters? Okay, Councillor Redikoff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much for the information. Can you go to second last slide, I think. So that slide, no, it's the one with that one there. Not that one, the one before. No. You had the right one, engaging the business community. Okay, so is that a reflection of each business answering providing multiple answers, or each business providing one answer, what was their top priority?
Do you want, are you gonna do that one?
I could answer this, yeah. This is based on how the businesses answer our question. So if there were two themes identified when the business is answering our question, then it would be categorized within, say it was a business exposure question, but also maybe they mentioned skills and labor force, we would capture that as a data point as well.
So although there were 1,877 responses from 1,300 businesses.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's interesting to see that governance ranks about the same as parking issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Olson, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was wondering, I'm not sure I understand this chart. It's the chart you have in front of you there when it says taxes and utilities. Those are two vastly different things. And is that tax rates and utilities rates, or is that, what does that combined thing mean?
So through the chair, when we theme our answers for taxes and utilities, what the students look at is whether the comments are pertaining to lowering property taxes, utility costs, or other municipal taxes that are not included in development charges. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I guess then development charges, I guess they're 1% of the concern of anybody wanting to develop here. I guess that's what this says. I'm not sure that, is that correct?
I would say, based on this chart, it's only 1% of businesses that have mentioned development charges as being something that the region could look into with supporting their business. I would have to look more into the comment itself to properly answer the question.
And then it says above that, the development process, zoning, and use is only a concern of 3%.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
It says above that, a couple above it, above development charges, says development process, zoning, and land use is the concern of 3%. I guess, am I reading this correctly, or?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any further questions for our presenters? If not, thank both of you for presenting today. Any comments with regards to this presentation? Okay, seeing none. 5.2 PDS 6-2026. Okay. Mover? No. So Councillor Cisco, will you be the mover? And Councillor Junkin, would you be our seconder? Okay, looks like. Okay. So no one's looking to any further discussion? Thank you. And I'll call the question then, please, if you could vote electronically. So that report PDS 6-2026 dated February 11th, 2026, respecting Niagara's Region 2025 employment results be received for information. That's carried. Do we have any other items for business today? Okay, then seeing none, we have a closed session. We'll be moving into closed session. Is there a presentation proceeding confidential report, PDS 7-2026? Okay. 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 All right, so at this time too, I'm going to ask if there's any committee members that wish to also discuss either confidential report PDS 4-2026 or PDS 5-2026 during the closed session. Otherwise, we'll just be going into closed session for the one item. Okay, seeing none, we'll head into closed session at this point now. And I'll remind everyone at home to make sure that you're in a position that you can. Oh, sorry. Okay. I've just been reminded I need a mover and a seconder to go into closed session. Can I get Councillor Campion and Chair Gale? Okay. Okay. That this committee do now move into closed session for the purpose of receiving information on a confidential nature respecting a matter respecting information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality by the province and the Crown Agency, and commercial information supplied in confidence to the municipality, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization under S 239-2 H and I of the Municipal Act 2021, the GO Station Development Strategy Update for 2026. Okay. Okay, can I call the question? Could you vote electronically, please? That cold's really got me going. Yeah. That's carried then.
Chair, just to be clear, I was
Okay, we're back in open session. If I can have, I'll call the question. Please vote electronically. I gotta skip so much of it. Do I have to read that? Okay. Okay. That's approved. Okay, that's carried then. Can I have a mover and seconder for item 7.2, confidential PDS 5-2026? Councillor Olson and Councillor Cisco? I take it that's okay. Okay, then I'll call the question. If you could vote electronically, please. Thank you. And that is also carried. Thank you. Okay. Can I have a mover and seconder then for the final item, 7.3, confidential PDS 7-2026? Councillor Steele and Councillor Junkin? Excellent. Then I'll call the question. If you could vote electronically. Okay, that is also carried. Thank you. That concludes our meeting. The next meeting will be held on Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 at 1:00 p.m. in the Council Chamber, Regional Headquarters. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you then. Do I have to adjourn? Okay. There being no further business, this meeting is now adjourned.